want to welcome you to another all-new edition of Ringside Report with the incomparable Mr. Rodney Green. I'll be your host, Joseph Herron. And, guys, before we introduce my boxing counterpart for this evening, we do have to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by Affordable Dentures, 240 locations nationwide. For more information, please visit the show's sponsor at AffordableDentures.com. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is always an honor to share the air with this entertaining gentleman, the incomparable Mr. Rodney Green. Rodney, how the heck are you this evening, sir?
Yes, sir. Doing so very well on this beautiful Sunday and it being Father's Day. What more can I say? I mean, a great weekend. We had a lot of boxing and so much to discuss. So all is well in Mr. Green's neighborhood, Mr. Herron.
Mr. Green's neighborhood. I love you. Love it, man. And you know, guys, happy Father's Day to everyone out there. And I hope you actually sat down with your son, you know, watched some fights together, talked about, some of the events, taught him the nuances of the sweet science. And that's what my dad did for me when I was a kid. I'm sure your dad did the same thing for you, Rodney. But I tell you what, and I'm sure you did the same thing for your son when he was growing up, and your sons as they're growing up. And that's what this is all about, guys. It's part of that lineage in actually furthering the sport of boxing. Well, someone has to do it because, damn it, it's not being done by PBC on mainstream TV. Rodney, what is going on with the numbers, brother? They just keep slipping and slipping and slipping. And what's amazing is you can't, you know, and guys, and I'm going to jump right to it, right? On Saturday night from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada, the main event of the evening, the long-awaited Battle of Ohio between Adrien the Problem Broner and Shawn Porter, took place this past Saturday night. It was televised on NBC. But before we get into the action, let's just not beat around the bush. It drew a 1.86 overnight rating and an average of 2.38 million viewers.
Wow.
Now that may sound like an awful lot when you're comparing it to, Deontay Wilder's most recent numbers with Showtime, which were abysmal. But when you look at it more specifically, right, Thurman Guerrero, the very first one, Thurman Guerrero on March 7th did 3.28 million viewers, right? Garcia Peterson on April 11th did 2.9 million. So you look at the primetime slots on NBC, boy, and they're just dropping. It's absurd. And why? Is it the matchup? Did we know that this matchup was going to tank? Did we know that it was going to be a grapple fest? Did we know Tony Weeks was going to allow all the excessive holding and wait till the championship rounds before he deducted a point from Adrien Broner? Did we know that was going to happen? No. So what's the cause of this? Because the matchups, for the most part, on the primetime version of NBC are actually quite good. You can't complain about Garcia versus Peterson. You can't complain about Porter versus Broner. You can't complain about Thurman versus Guerrero. So what is it, Rodney?
Well, I think it's a culmination of things that not being correctly done. First of all, as you know, Joseph, when you are involved in any type of promotion, it has to be meticulously planned to the very last detail when you want it to be a colossal success. And I'm not sure if PBC is doing that. Now, let's just look at last night. Okay, this is supposedly, at one time, was the future of the sport in the main event. okay? In the main event, and your viewership is down, okay? The Battle of Ohio in an supposedly evenly matched fight with two guys who have pretty, decent record. On paper, it seemed like it would, be a good fight. For the numbers to be what they are, it has to be a concern. And at this point, no matter what you're doing, at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game with the rating. It's a numbers game as far as, the return on the investment of what you're doing. And we have a real problem here with PBC now. We really do.
Rodney, there are several things rather to point out, right? Several things to point out. Now, guys, I don't know if anyone noticed this, but, if you guys notice PBC, a lot of PBC and Haymon, Mayweather, and it's common knowledge that, he's got a bit of an image problem among the mainstream and casual sports fans. With his history of domestic violence, he has a bit of an image problem. And in order to attract mainstream corporate sponsorship, Haymon has been trying to, up to this point, distance himself from Floyd Mayweather. Well, things have become so bad in trying to get fans to come out to these live events, right, and to actually sell tickets and to garner sponsorship. Well, he did the unthinkable and decided to make this a Mayweather Promotions event. And it still didn't help. Several people that I talked to that actually attended the event live said that, Haymon was giving tickets away. And people still didn't want to show up. It was empty. The MGM Grand was empty. It's a big place. This is a real problem, guys.
Yeah.
This is a real problem. So what is the genesis of the problem? Well, because, and like I pointed out earlier in the outset of the program, this matchup is supposed to be a premium matchup. But it just goes to show you one thing, guys, and we're gonna refer to this as we go along in the 90-minute program, that there's a reason why the traditional business practices of boxing have been instilled and are long-running, time-tested business practices within the sport. This is not done by accident. This is not just because, some greedy old men want to exploit these fighters. It's done by, for a reason. And they work, right?
Yeah.
And Haymon is finding out the hard way that, his new ideology of really taking care of these fighters, almost to the point of babying them, really isn't working out for him. It's like you look at, let's just take a look at it, okay, before we go into the main event. Let's just take a look at the co-main event. Errol Spence Jr. step up against Roberto Lamanaza Garcia, and we pointed out this on the show the last time he didn't make weight.
Right.
This guy's a head case. All right? When you give this guy a signing bonus, right? You give him a signing bonus. You give him money to train. You give him an allowance. Well, he's stupid. And I hate to say that because, I have a lot of respect for all these fighters that risk their health and get into the ring. But, this guy is a mental midget. He has a history of this. Okay, and Haymon's going to find out the hard way, if he hasn't already discovered this, that this is going to happen more often than not if you give these guys a very long leash or take them off the chain. Okay, you got two fighters that this happened to, right, on this same card. Roberto Lamanaza Garcia, who just shut down mentally, started eating at the buffet as soon as he landed in Vegas, almost like he was trying to sabotage the event, right? And so Errol Spence Jr. has to fight, a guy by the name of Bill Del Greco, who's a decent fighter, but he's not in that class, and he wasn't about to test Errol Spence Jr. properly, and as a result, Errol Spence Jr. looked fantastic. And from what I'm hearing, he's Mayweather's new guy. Kind of like the way J. Leon Love used to be, kind of like the way Adrien Broner used to be. Well, now Mayweather's new pet project is from what I'm hearing now, Errol Spence Jr. Mayweather stated after the fight. Errol Spence, he just looked tremendous, and he's going to fight on my pay-per-view, my September 12th pay-per-view. Maybe against Shawn Porter, maybe against Keith Thurman. Hands down, man down. All right, that's what Mayweather had to say. It's been a while since I've done that one, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a minute, sir. It's been a minute.
But so Robert Lamanasa Garcia, he got dropped by PBC. He's the first fighter to officially get released by Haymon, saying, you know what, thanks for playing, dude. Thanks, but no thanks. Okay, well, here's another fighter that has been given a long leash, and it's not really working out, and that's Adrien the Problem Broner. And dude, this is a big, big problem for not only Al Haymon, but his trainer, Mike Stafford. Rodney, what have you heard about this situation with Mike Stafford? Because you know Mike. Okay, he's one of the best young trainers in boxing. He's one of the best teachers of the game, but he's in a very compromised situation with Adrien Broner now, isn't he?
Yes, and it's been that way for quite some time. You have to look back. These guys have such a long history. However, you're at the point, someone you known as a kid is a grown man, and he employs you, okay? You're not the one who's giving him chocolate milk anymore or giving him a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because he's hungry. The roles have changed, okay? I'll pay you now. So in order to find that balance to where you can still be that voice of reasoning, and when you tell someone to do it, they do it unequivocally and a matter of fact, they do it with a smile, puts Mike Stafford in a very tough position. But I was told by a very respected trainer, I'm not going to say no names, a couple of months ago, we all know that this guy, Adrien Broner, he's headed down the road, the wrong path, and it's only a matter of time. How destructive this path can be, well, I think that's just up to Adrien. It's a lot that I believe he can do to, get things turned around. But, he's going to have to make some changes. And you have to wonder, is he starting to be a liability at PBC at this point with some of his antics? I wasn't really thrilled with his post-fight commentary. I mean, I think that's bad for business, okay? I think that's the last thing you need to be doing after you take a loss. Show some humility. Say, I'll be better. I'll go back to the drawing board. I want to thank all my fans for supporting me and supporting this event, and we'll be back. Still going to be rich. I'm still going to have money. My kids are going to still – dude, you don't do that, sir, okay? You have all the eyes of the boxing world on you. So, they do have a real issue. I mean, the problem. He is the problem, but now he's starting to become a problem for a lot of the wrong reasons, Mr. Herron.
Well, absolutely. And let's go to the action now, right? And obviously, Shawn Porter won a unanimous decision over Adrien the Problem Broner last night at a catchweight of 144. And again, guys, it's a difference of discipline, right? Difference of discipline. Shawn Porter and Ken Porter, they bust their tail, always. They're always in the gym, always. Yeah, Shawn is a specimen. He's got a great work ethic. Adrien, when he's in the gym, boy, he does a great job. He is always busting his hump. But it's when he's out of the gym. From what several people told me, boy, he was out partying with Mayweather, man, throughout camp.
Wow.
In Vegas. Wow. And that was supposed to be the reason why he came down and trained in Vegas, to get away from all of those distractions in Cincinnati. Isn't that what Mayweather said?
Yeah, I mean,
that's what he told media. But from what a lot of people have been telling me, yes, he was actually partying the entire time. A la James Kirkland, right?
Yeah. That is.
And, okay, so we're going into the fight, right? Both men make weight. Both men don't have a restriction in how much they can rehydrate to, right? So we start with the action, and immediately Shawn Porter is like, well, I know this guy doesn't like to take the lead, so I'm going to show him some lateral movement, try to establish my jab, and really, really try to disrupt his timing and rhythm, keep him from establishing his jab by moving laterally, and I'm occasionally going to jump in and out. Close the distance very, very quickly. That's going to disrupt his timing and rhythm. It's going to make him very, very uncomfortable, and it worked, right? The problem is when Adrien Broner realized, okay, well, I'm not really landing any clean shots, not even my check left hook is really working, not really doing a lot, I'm not really successful in establishing my jab from mid to long range, I'm not dictating the pace of the fight. So logically, he should have said, okay, well, my only chance of winning this now then is, one, either I'm going to have to take the lead, be the aggressor, something I don't like to do, or I'm going to have to fight him underneath, show him that I can do the better work on the inside. Well, as soon as Shawn Porter closed that distance, smothered his own offense, Adrien Broner elected to tie him up every single time. And I'm sorry, what Shawn Porter did was effective to a point, but not in making an aesthetically pleasing, fun fight to watch. And he really wasn't doing that good of work on the inside, because we saw this in the Kell Brook fight. He smothers his own offense. It looked at times like Adrien Broner was fighting Ray Lewis. And I'm not wrong in making that assessment. Come on now. Yeah. So Adrien, what he did, and this is very uncharacteristic, right? It's like, I know this didn't come from Mike Stafford and say, hey, man, just tie him up. Because, dude, Mike's fighters, none of them tie up their opponent like that on the inside. They work. He teaches how to fight proficiently on the inside. You know, you look at Adrian's previous performances. He never tied anyone up like that. Where did this come from, Rodney? Where do you think it came from, dude?
Well, it had to come from 40-20 shift drive. And if you're not familiar with that address, that's the Floyd Mayweather gym. That's when it became adopted. And when I watched the fight last night, I mean, he really tried to mimic that style of holding that Floyd does, all the way from just the way Floyd is composed, just the way, I mean, and he could not replicate that, though. You know, that totally got him out of his game plan. It took away from his punch output, and it really bit him in the ass, though. And, I mean, there's no other way to say it. He made a colossal error by using that strategy with the extensive holding. And you're right, that didn't come from Mike Stafford. And that's what, you know that, Joseph, a lot of times when, I don't care if it's you're raising a child or you're doing a job, you cannot have too many people in your ear where you do it this way, you do this, you do that. Whoever you rock with up to that point, that's who you need to stick with, okay? If you're not going to stick with it, then go ahead and move on completely if you're going to start getting all these other ideas and, you know, adopting new styles of fighting because, you know, I mean, we saw what we saw last night, and it wasn't good, and it made for a dreadful fight on the odds, in my opinion. That was not good, you know. So all in all, and Joseph, one thing about Adrien Broner, we've said a lot of things about him in the past, but what we always have said about him, he's never in a dull fight, always in a entertaining scrap. I don't know if a majority or the consensus of boxing fans believes that's what they saw last night, an entertaining fight.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. You look at his fight with Marcos Maidana. That was a fight of the year candidate back in 2014.
Right.
You look at his fight last September against Emmanuel Taylor. This is a Fight of the Year candidate, man. It was outstanding, in which Adrien really showed his toughness, his ability to fight proficiently on the inside. It was so much fun to watch. So what the hell happened? Well, two things. One, once again, he's trying to emulate his big brother, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Okay, and I'm sorry, I've said this for a very long time. Floyd Mayweather is an anomaly, guys. And fighters would be wise not to try and use what Floyd Mayweather has done, both in and out of the ring, as a blueprint. He's an anomaly, and his success will not be repeated, not in that manner. So get it out of your brains. Don't try to be Floyd Mayweather, because it's not going to end well with your career. That's just the way it goes. And two, it makes me think, well, maybe he was questioning his conditioning for this event because of all the extracurricular activity that was taking place. My goodness. And Rodney, there are videos of this, brother. Hey, dude, did you see him poolside at the MGM Grand getting stink face? Dude, that's appalling.
Yeah.
Dude, and this is a guy who wants to be the face of the sport. He wants to represent the sport. And then after he comes up a crobber, puts forth a dud performance, gives the fans, the hard-working, paying customers, a facial. Oh, it's all right. It's all right. I'll be back. I'm still going to be rich. I'm still going to get paid. I'll still take pictures and sign autographs. Well, no, you won't, dude. So in my opinion, when he consciously made this decision, checkmate. It's over. He lost the fight. He gave away that fight. Yep. And I'll tell you who else is to blame for this. Tony Weeks.
Oh,
come on, Tony. What the hell are you doing? Dude, are you taking a page out of Kenny Bayless's handbook? Oh, well, let him hold. Let him hold. That's crafty defense. Oh, that's a smart, sound defensive strategy. Oh, the art of holding. That's a part of boxing. BS. That's a part of stinking out the joint and turning away fans. Dude, take control of the fight. Take control of the fight and don't wait till the championship rounds to take away a point.
He is starting to get the label of lazy refereeing. You kept looking at this guy like, okay, dude, what are you waiting for? This is blatant holding, okay? Why would you not take control of this bout, knowing that it's being televised on Saturday Night Live, on such a huge platform? Do your job. Much is expected of the fighters. Well, you too, okay? Because you could have eliminated some of that early and often by deducting a point. Don't wait to the championship rounds, okay? That could have been 9 rounds ago. You could have did that. So, yeah, Tony Weeks, though, man, his performance was piss poor as well. It really was. And, I just think that it all made for not the kind of product easy on the eyes, though. And even with, Shawn Porter, Shawn Porter hasn't really just looked very, very good since he fought Paulie Malignaggi, in my opinion, where it was like, wow, wonderful performance. Looked great, super superb. This is another fight, he was involved in, along with the Kell Brook, that, it was difficult to watch at times. He smothered his own offense, doesn't really know how to fight, effective on the inside, and it was highlighted last night on the biggest stage, Saturday night, and on NBC.
It was dreadful. It was dreadful, but once again, this doesn't change. This doesn't change the fact that people didn't tune in, Rodney. Why didn't people tune in? It's not like they knew this was going to play out this way. Okay, well, this is, once again, lesson now, Haymon, right? You can't just, I mean, diehards like to do this, and they don't really understand this concept of it. But you have to cultivate and nurture a matchup. You can't just throw two guys in the ring and say, hey, what a great fight. If we build it, they will come, like Field of Dreams, right? No. You have to cultivate matchups in boxing. If you want the demand to be there, then you have to start. It's almost like opening up a casino, right? You can't just build it and say, okay, well, open the doors, here it comes. No, you've got to advertise for it.
Right.
You've got to promote it. You've got to beat your feet. You've got to start building up a matchup if you want it to be, to receive that billing. And this is a perfect example of it. Because when this was put together, it's like, wow, this is actually happening in about 5 weeks. Wow, I didn't even think about this matchup, but yeah, I guess it makes sense. Well, obviously the numbers in terms of ticket sales as well as TV ratings, well, didn't really hit home in the minds of the viewers, in the minds of the paying customers, right? And here we go. You're going to have to start considering guys who have been doing this long before you even began to get involved in boxing, Al Haymon. Okay, because he's in a serious quandary right now.
Yeah.
You saw a little more advertisement during the broadcast, but not enough to where it's going to start to make him money. Dude, look at the presentation on Saturday night. It was outstanding. Al Michaels was awesome. Marv Albert was awesome. Sugar Ray Leonard was even good. DJ Flores was solid as he usually is. The presentation, the production, it was beautiful. You're going to have to start making that money, or else, hey, man, you're going to become the USFL of boxing. 1 season, 2 seasons, and you're over. That's it. But this is what happens. Okay, the fans, one of the reasons why, and I truly believe this is my theory, one of the reasons why a lot of people think of Al Haymon as being uncaring and dismissive is because he stays out of the sight of the media. He doesn't address the media. He doesn't want to answer their questions. He doesn't really have any respect for the boxing media, right? Okay, so they actually take that as arrogance and being dismissive, right? And they look at his tenure in boxing. He tanked HBO with Ross Greenberg, okay? And then he went over to Showtime, tanked them, tanked Golden Boy Promotions. So, they just don't trust him. And Al Haymon is like, well, you know what, you guys, you need to support me because this is the best thing for boxing. And most people are like, well, no, I don't. We've seen your track record, brother. If you think, dude, if you're trying to convince us that this is the best thing for boxing, you got another thing coming. You better show me. Don't just tell me.
Right.
And that's a serious problem. So in your opinion, Rodney, what has to happen to really change the overwhelming sentiment, the anti-Haymon sentiment, from pretty much everyone involved here? The boxing diehards, the mainstream and casual fans, and the great majority of the boxing community here, the small circle that is the boxing community in America.
Right. Well, first and foremost, he's going to have to become more visible. He's going to, and he possibly in the olive branch to some of the people that maybe he's wronged, or some of those bridges that he burned previously, or as maybe HBO, maybe open up the possibility we're working with, Bob Arum of Oscar De La Hoya, because at this rate, Joseph, man, with the money that they're bleeding and just the damage control that needs to happen, he's going to have to make some changes. And I think one of the things he's going to have to do, and I don't know if it's in his comfort zone or if he just doesn't, want to respect the boxing media or just the media as a whole, he's going to have to change the perception, though. And the best way to do that is to, well, give your side of the story. You know, show compassion. Show, you know, maybe remorse and say, look, maybe I did make some mistakes in the past, and if I could do it over, I would do things wrong. But at the same time, show how the importance of how this needs to work. And it cannot work without the boxing community as a whole. And I believe that, you know, if this doesn't pan out, it's going to have a ripple effect on boxing for quite some time, okay? So, you know, he's going to have to really do some soul searching, look in the mirror, and realize that his fighters saying, I want to thank Al Haymon. I want to thank Al Haymon. Or them naming their kids out there. That's not enough. That's not enough. You know, you're going to have to really dig deep. You know, you know, Joseph, me and you, we both Dallas Cowboys fans. Die hard. Die hard to the fullest.
Yes, guilty as charged, my friend.
When Jerry Jones came in and said, look, this is my team, I'm fine, Tom Landry. And at the time, I didn't realize it, but he was really doing a good thing. You know, I mean, he was doing a good thing. It was just the way that he did it, and it was so swift. Like, who the hell does he think he is? I can't stand this dude. But guess what, though? He wasn't afraid to get on that podium, to field questions, and to let people know, look, this is who I am. You may not agree with it, but I feel it's the right thing to do. And over the passage of time, well, those sentiments change. You start to, you know, slowly begin to like him. They started to win. Okay. Well, he's a great guy now. But he wasn't afraid to take the heat, though, Joseph. He stood in the fire and took all the blame, and it was what it was. Al Haymon is going to have to start doing the same thing, Joseph. He's going to have to come out and start facing people and let them know he's not the serious monster. You know, he's not this bad guy that's just, you know, I mean, he's going to have to do something to change the tide, and he has to do it quickly. At this rate, you can't wait a year and a year and a half to Safer come back to where he starts, you know, be the face at the press conferences and, you know, entertains the media and make everybody feel warm and welcome and ingratiating. Al Haymon's going to have to take that role. He's going to have to.